In this video, I'll show you how to use the CartoMixer tool that myself and HSU student Chris Mull created. First, we've got a dem of Mount St. Helens. And the first thing we want to do is we actually want to go ahead and just run a simple hillshade or shaded relief on it. We can do that by opening the CartoMixer, click OK. Now the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of dems have artifacts in them. What you want is an original dem. Typically we download them from Earth Explorer, mosaic them together, and not do anything else. Otherwise you end up with these artifacts. You can get all kinds of lines in them that will then show up really nicely in your hillshade, and usually we don't want that. So this one looks really good. The one thing though is it has some rough texture-y things to it that won't look as good in a background. So one of the things I'm going to do is remove that and then go ahead and use the Matrix Resizer. This is a tool in BlueSpray that allows you to resize images and resample them with the convolution matrix. Really, the way I look at it is just a smoothing filter. So I'm going to smooth it a lot. I'm going to use 5x5. This is the size or the area that's going to be used for smoothing, and then you can have an amount of smoothing, and you can also set up your own matrices if you want. So run that. Now it's not going to look a lot different here, but when we go to cartography, CartoMixer, again run a quick hillshade, you will see that it's smoothed out a lot of roughness in the image, and you can use it repeatedly and make it smoother and smoother. And notice also that I'm removing these images as I create them. That's because BlueSpray, remember, it keeps everything in memory, so we want to keep that down. And here I've got the CartoMixer, so now I'm going to go into it and actually create a color hillshade. So this is the default, and it's just a straight grayscale ramp. There's a number of ramps in here you can use. Some are kind of gaudy. Probably don't want to use them unless it's like an art thing. There's a bunch different ones that I've created over the years for different effects. Here we're starting to get to something that you might use, but you might use this to really colorize all the different transitions and elevation. But down at the bottom you'll find some that are much more realistic, and actually the kind of things you'll see from USGS maps, because that's what I used as a guide. So this one's pretty close, but let's say that we want to do trees around St. Helens, and we want to highlight the crater a little bit. So there we might want to have some more white, and notice that here I've got 5 points. I may need more points, so I'm going to go to 7. You can go anywhere from 2 and just have a straight ramp. Kind of fun. You can do quite a few, but I don't think I've ever used more than 7. And then I want to have a fair bit of white around the crater. Okay. Whoops. Okay, I accidentally pushed OK, didn't mean to, I meant to hit update. That's all right, when you come back it'll save your settings. Now it only saves them until BlueSpray closes. If you want to save them longer, do an export, and then you can come back and do an import. And now I'm going to pull down this and see, are we capturing the crater? Kind of, but I'm going to move these back a little bit, so that, yeah, we can really see the crater. And anytime you want, you can just run it and see, all right, so we've got white around here and then some gray in here, so we're going to be able to see the crater better. Again, deleting these intermediate or temporary files. Excuse me. Right back into CartoMixer. And then, okay, so white's good here. Let's go ahead and do some green. For dark green, we pull down the blue and the red, but leave the green up a little bit. Now we've got a nice band of green. Let's say we want to make that bigger. If you click and you get the wrong one, just move it out of the way and click to get the right one. There we go. And now I think I'll do a little bit of brown. So for brown, we want to have red and green. Bring down the blue. And then maybe some grassland, or simulate grassland, which is going to be red and green. And then of course you can play with this for a really long time and try different color combinations and move things around to, I think we need more green. And we can do different intensities of green. Ooh, oh, I think I'm kind of liking that. And somewhat we're representing the real world, and somewhat we're doing this for symbology so folks can see what's happening. Okay, I think I kind of like that. And now we've got our hillshade. Now if I was going to put this into a map, notice that there are some lakes. These are these solid areas. I'd probably find a lakes layer and overlay it, especially if I was going for realism. Okay, and now these colors are pretty bright. Remember that you're probably going to make it semi-transparent or lighten it before you put it into your map. And when you're done with it, you can just go ahead and export it as a file. These are TIFF files, or these are standard rasters, red, green, blue rasters. So I can just save it as a TIFF file. Now I can bring that in any package I want. It's georeferenced. Works rather nicely. So let's take a look at some of the other features. There is, okay, that was an interesting occurrence. So notice this should have given an error. Okay, back to our matrix version, CartoMixer. Okay, so let's say we want to highlight different areas of the elevation. Here's an elevation exaggeration ramp. We can go ahead, and this one I tend to do with 3 points, because let's say that we want to highlight or have lots of color transitions right at the top, right here at the top of Mount St. Helens. So that's what we can do it. Notice almost the entire color ramp is applied to that area. Conversely, we could do this, and we're just going to flatten out the higher elevation areas. So this will be really important if you have like canyons and you want to accentuate certain parts of it. For this one, I'm not too worried, and you can just turn it off by unchecking the include. There is a sharpening matrix here. You can apply this here. I tend to apply it outside and then come back in. This is a mixture. I'll show in another video how to use the overlay, where you can put a satellite overlay. But this just pulls in and out the different components. Okay, so here they're balanced. Here we've got mostly the color ramp, very little hillshade. Kind of, I think I kind of like that. Here we can add more hillshade. Oh, I think I'm going to keep that. Yeah, looks good. Okay, and here's where you can specify a satellite overlay raster. And here's the hillshade tool. Now, most hillshades are treated with the sun in the northwest, but you can change that. You can move it out to the edge. That will increase the elevation angle or decrease the elevation angle, and that will create interesting effects. Effectively, we're changing the height of the sun over the area. You can also change the position, and I've seen cartographers do that to have different effects, especially based on the type of topography that you have. I tend to leave it over here because that's just where folks expect it on maps. That's what they're used to seeing. And then the color ramp, and I'll cover the bathymetry and contrast map again in different videos. So once we're done, click OK. That will do our final shaded relief. I've got several here. And I tend to do that and then say, well, which one do I want? Or go ahead and say both of them. Oh, I think I'm still leaning towards this one. So again, you can export that to a file, save them out, and bring them into your favorite GIS package. Remember not to compress them too much, or they will get artifacts in them.